Coming to you from the penthouse of my tower high atop the majestic Sapphire Mountain Range in the northern Rockies, and also from the Stygian depths of the foreboding forests and bogs of northern Minnesota. Welcome to World Bigfoot Radio. I'm your host, Duke. I'm joined here by my co-host and tech wizard, Grant, to bring you another entertaining and thought-provoking chat on the subject of mystery hominids, wherever they may be found. But before we get started with tonight's show, let me tell all our listeners that if you have had a close encounter or sighting, we would love to hear your story. And also, if you have any questions, comments, or complaints about the show, or have a suggestion for a future show topic, hey, let us know. Both of us can be reached at worldbigfootradio@gmail.com, and I also have a page on Facebook called Montana Bigfoot Project, where you can also reach me, and as well as that, you can see blogs, video, and listen to podcasts, not only from myself, but from many other reputable researchers from all over North America. So without further ado, it's time to go squatching. Well, howdy, everybody, and welcome back, and pleased to have you with us again for another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. Hope everybody had a great weekend, and we're here to help you kick off the beginning of your week again. We got a great guest with us today, is one of my friends, Michael Cook, the founder and lead man from the Kentucky Sasquatch Team, and their main #1 field investigator, point man on all that sort of stuff. And he was not only one of the guests up here at the first ever Montana Big Sky Bigfoot Conference last October, but he has also got a real interesting book coming out here shortly on all the different investigations and research that he's done down there in Kentucky. And he has taken a lot of sightings down there, folks, and has been around and taken a look at these, and he's going to share a few of them with us tonight. And before we get to that point, I'd like to say, hey, welcome, and thanks for showing up here, Mike. Glad to have you with us.
Hey, Brian, I'm glad to be here, man. It's an honor to join everybody out there also in the World Bigfoot Radio area, and all the listeners. I'm blessed to be a part of this tonight.
Well, happy to have you here, Mike. You know, I've been, as you well know, we're in close contact with each other most of the time, and it's really nice to have somebody, you know, other than the 2 or 3 other folks that I'm tight with down on that side of the country, keeping us up to date with what's happening down there. You know, your whole thing with Bigfoot started with you actually having a sighting. Would you like to walk the folks through that and tell them a little bit about what happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, you know, 16 years ago, I was a kid that just got his driver's license and skipped school one day, and you know, that I always tell people stay in school, kids, and I'll tell you a reason why. But I skipped school one day and went fishing on the side of the riverbank, and this creature took a wrong step. It slipped on some leaves. It lost its footing. It done something, and it tumbled down a really steep hill into the river in front of me. When it stood up, it was 8 foot tall and about 400 pounds. And you know, at that time, I didn't think Bigfoot. I honestly didn't. I saw what I saw, and after it was all said and done, I ran, and it was a life-changing experience. But a year later, I actually came to terms with what I saw was Bigfoot. And after looking at books at the library and talking to some people, you know, that's what I've decided that I saw, and I believe 100% that's exactly what I saw. After that, after a year, I done the #1 investigation. It was on myself, actually. That was wild. A lot of people that create the teams and stuff don't realize that the first investigation is actually their own if they've had a sighting. And that right there started it all. And even though the Kentucky Sasquatch Team wasn't really founded until 2011, I started investigating sightings and this and that in 2001, 2002. And I worked with other teams that kind of fell apart after 2002. And in 2011, me and some friends researchers, we founded it. I founded it and let them join, and now I've got a tech guy. His name is Todd Gilvin, one of my best friend in this world, and my lead researcher besides myself is Mike Isaacs, and he's studied about these creatures and other cryptids most of his life. And I keep my team small and tight, and I think you can agree with me, Brian, on this. Sometimes the bigger teams don't always prevail.
That's absolutely
smaller
right.
It's the smaller 3 and 4 man groups that actually find more evidence, that gather more sightings, reports, and this and that. So I've decided to write a book. I have 353 reports now, as of now, from the time I started. Yeah, I started taking reports in 2002. I started investigating reports in 2001, but actually doing reports on my own and investigations on my own in 2002, and so forth and so on. And so I have 353, 52. You know as well as I do, it's hard to keep count.
Yeah, they come in pretty regular.
They do, and this is a time of year where I'll be busy. That's what I was telling my girlfriend just today. I will be busy from now until, colder weather, and even in colder weather, they're moving and stuff like this to their winter areas, and people will have sightings then. But we'll narrow it down to 350 reports. We'll estimate it that. So I said, 350 reports. I can write a book about this and include all my reports.
Yep.
And the book is simple. It is the Kentucky Sasquatch Team then and now, and it's broke up into 2 different pieces, then and now. I start with reports that the earliest report that I've ever gathered was in '68. And I actually, that's way back there, and, or I'm sorry, that was in '58. I'm so sorry about that. I've got
even further, another decade further back.
A decade further back. I'm sorry about that. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
And I don't know why I said 68, but in '58. And it came to me from my dad. My dad did not have the sighting, but he worked with 3 men that were involved in the sighting.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, and as the report goes, in the fall of 1958, they couldn't remember an exact month. In the fall of 1958, a group of young boys were out coon hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And, here, coon hunting is still a very popular sport. And, you're hunting raccoons in the middle of the night. Well, a storm came upon them, and they went and sought out shelter in a what they called a powder shack, and that is where they kept dynamite and blasting caps and stuff like that for coal mines. And they went and sought out shelter in this powder shack. And after the rain quit, there was 6 boys in there in the shack. One of them they all heard something hit the roof. It's kind of fall off the wall, the rock wall behind the shack. It fell off the rock wall onto the roof. Well, they thought it was maybe, a log from runoff, maybe a small rock or something like that, from all the rainwater, until the rock decided to take off running across the roof.
Oh, that's not a rock.
Oh, no, that's not a rock. Well, the first thing they actually thought of was maybe a cat, maybe a large cat, a mountain lion or a bobcat or something like that.
Right.
At this time, the clouds had cleared away, and the moon was full, shining bright. And they said, you could look outside and see everything just like it was daylight. And they all started looking out the door, the crack in the door, looking out the crack in the door, out to see if they could see whatever this was fell on the ground, run across the roof and jumped on the ground. Right. And they all looked out the door, and one of the smaller boys, he looked out the bottom of the door, and when he looked out, there was an eyeball looking straight back at him.
Oh, my God.
And when he screams, it screams. And, he's, and they said the little hairy man is what they coined it as. It screamed also, and fell backwards and stumbled and took off running. They run after this thing. Yeah, they freaked out, but they run after it. They done, the thing you're really not supposed to do. And
boy, you got to give them credit for guts, though. I mean, something like that going on, and go, oh, hell, let's run after it.
Well, they tracked it. They tracked it up the hill, and then they realized, we need more help. We need to capture this thing. So they ran down into town and got a few more buddies and a couple more powerful guns and a net. They were going to capture this thing. And this is where the story kind of takes a turn. And it doesn't end well. And I'll warn anybody listening right now, during these times today, this is the kind of story you really don't want to hear. But one of the boys' brothers, smaller, younger brother, decided to follow the group up into the woods to maybe scare them.
Oh, God.
And in the middle of trying to scare them while they were looking for this little hairy man, he got in the bushes and rustled the bushes, and one turned and shot. And they killed the boy. They killed the younger brother. And they had to... go ahead.
No, that's fine. Just discouraged by the story, but yeah, continue, please.
Yeah, they carried their little brother out of the woods, his lifeless body, and my dad gathered the story after hearing that this was not a hunting accident by any means. This was not, somebody falling on a gun. And even though there's no names mentioned at all in this book, and that's another thing that is different from all the other books, it goes straight into report after report, and it's actually told through a first-person point of view. All these stories in this book is told from a first-person point of view. And but like I said, they killed the younger brother by accident looking for a little hairy man.
That's horrible.
It is my belief that, and in my investigator notes, which are toward the back of the book, on every story, I have a small section in the back where it goes, and I paraphrased, vaguely. I'll say that on my thoughts, my personal thoughts on the reports, but it's my personal thoughts on that particular report in the fall of 1958 that 5 boys coon hunting encountered a juvenile, a really young juvenile, maybe even a little older than a toddler juvenile Bigfoot. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't think it would be a pygmy or anything like that, because we don't have reports that come out of it. Right. I mean, but moving on though, that was, like I said, it's a funny story to begin with, and it kind of takes an awful turn at the end. But that's the report that I gathered. That's true to the words of how the person told me, and right. I actually talked to the last living member of that group. The rest of them died of cancer and black lung heart attacks and stuff like this. But there's one living member, and I've talked to him personally, and he's actually blind now.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, though.
Well, before we get a little bit too much further here, I like to make, say two quick things. One is, it's a really sad story, and I think it should serve as a cautionary tale on the folly of hunting Bigfoot. And the second thing is, before we get too far away from the beginning of it, where you mentioned quickly went through your encounter, if anybody out there is listening and would like to hear more about Mike's encounter, he actually did a video from the actual site where this happened, and I have it as the pinned post on my Facebook site, Montana Bigfoot Project, right now. And Mike, you probably got it up on Kentucky Sasquatch Team too, don't you?
Yeah, I have it up on, and I think it's even up on the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project, maybe. And the Rocky
Mary's
Mountain,
got it up too.
Kelly Shaw's got
Rocky
it up
Mountain
also.
Sasquatch. Yep.
Yeah, hang out.
Yeah, we're all buddies. We all share information between our sites. So anyway, I just wanted to, before you got too far, to catch everybody up on that and let them know there's more out there available on that. You can see the actual site Mike was at when he saw this when he was younger and all that good stuff. But yeah, so go ahead now, Mike. Sorry to cut you out there.
Oh, real quick though, Brian. I mean, I'll say this and I stress this: what happened 16 years ago was 16 years ago, and
right.
The terrain has actually changed just a little bit. It's almost kind of like if you go out to the Patterson-Gimlin site, it looks nothing like what it looked like when they were out there in the video. But moving on, though, you can find that video on any of our sites, and I'll even share it again later. And that's the Kentucky Sasquatch Team on Facebook. So, like I said, the book is broken up into two different parts, then and now. And then takes place before 1980, and now is the last 36 years. And so, in 1965, a young lady by the this is actually I'll say her name because I've actually got an interview with her on my site.
Nice.
A young lady named Lorraine Deal, and her and her mother were on a walk to the store one evening right before dusk, and they walked around a curve, and this what she says, this thing was standing there looking at me with its devil eyes. And she said this wasn't a big one. She said somewhere around 6.5 foot tall. Real wide across the shoulders. I'm thinking built, kind of like a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
And she said it was almost black. And we get a lot of reports out of eastern Kentucky of a really dark brown color anyway. And I'll touch a little bit on that in a little bit, but she said the only thing on this thing moved was its eyes. And she said its eyes, they were within 10 foot of it. I was within 50 foot of mine, and I was scared to death.
Good God.
I couldn't imagine two women, a young woman and her mom, being within 10 foot of this creature, Brian. I mean, wow.
That would terrify the hell out of me.
Oh, it would terrify the hell out of anybody. And she asked me later, she said, why would its eyes be the only thing moving? And I think you'll agree with me on this. I think it was stalking. I think it was laying in wait, because I went to the exact location. I stood in the exact spot she said this thing stood at. And wouldn't you know, if there wasn't a deer trail right down beside it, game trail. So you know what this SOB was doing. He was standing there waiting for a deer to come through, and he was just going to reach out and grab it.
Yep. And then humans came walking through, and he went, I'll just stand still, and they won't see me.
There you go. And he said later on, 10 years later or so, her brother was chased out of the mountains by something very large on two legs.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What part of Kentucky was that in?
that was actually in Letcher County, Kentucky. It borders borders Harlan County, where I'm originally from. It's where the Kentucky Sasquatch Team was founded at, and that's where I had my sighting at in Harlan County. And this is the neighboring county over. In fact, I mean, right across the Letcher County line is where this happened at. And
so yeah, nearby.
And it was actually, if you want to look on a map, folks, it's called Partridge, Kentucky, just like the Partridge family. Partridge, Kentucky is where this was located at. And, that's not a very long report. But if you watch the video, you can search through the videos on the Kentucky Sasquatch Team, and I'll even try to share this one later also. You can search through the videos and find her. It's the Lorraine Deal sighting. And you can tell that this lady is, well into her 60s. She is still visibly shaken from what happened to her that long ago. And she says she never did go out in the woods by herself any after that. And that's a problem, and I think you'll agree with me on that. I even touched on that on the video over the weekend at the original sighting. People think that they have a sighting with these things, they can't go back out in the woods again. Not true. If it was, why would we be out in the woods?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I go out in the woods because I'm crazy. That's why I still go out there, because I'm crazy. But I don't know what to attribute to the other people. Some of them, they have sightings that are, and you know this, Mike, they're so incredibly shocked and horrified by what they see that they never go in the woods again. And some of us go back again just because we want to know more about what it was that we saw.
Exactly. And another one, a real short sighting report that's in the book, happened around the same time in the late 60s. The fella couldn't really tell me a whole lot about the exact date, but his dad and him were moonshiners, and they made the illegal liquor back in the woods, back in the hollers where the revenuers and all that couldn't find.
Mm-hmm.
And they went up into their moonshine still one day, and the moonshine still was turned over, was torn apart, mason jars and gallon-sized glass jars just busted. And all their product is what they call the product. All their moonshine was on the ground, and some of it gone. Automatically, even you and I, even though we're Bigfooters, if we were running something like that, an operation such as that, the first thing that would come to one of our minds would be it was another moonshiner or the cops came, and that's what they thought.
Revenuers or another moonshiner got it. Yep.
Yeah. Somebody's come up and sabotaged them and tore it up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they set everything back up and went on investigation trying to figure out who destroyed their moonshine still, who broke all the glassware.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 or 3 weeks passed, they got another batch of moonshine made and set it up and everything. And they were getting ready to go up in the woods the next day and, pick up their stuff and move it and sell it. And when they walked up in the woods, he described it to me as a gorilla, but it was a 7-foot gorilla, 8-man. And he said he was as drunk as an effing skunk. And he said it was screaming and hollering and going on, and he said it would go to holler, and he said, man, it sounds just like, sounded kind of like some of them guys on that Bigfoot show on TV. It would go woo, and then all of a sudden it was so drunk it couldn't do it, and it would go woo, 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 and it couldn't, and it would laugh at itself. Then it'd start screaming again, and they couldn't do anything. He said we had guns. Well, one time did we think of shooting it? And But they end up moving their moonshine still after that. He said they observed this creature for about 10 to 15 minutes, drunk, and it finally saw sight of them and kind of tried to give a little bit of a scream at them, but then it decided, I'm too drunk I'm too wasted. He said this thing was obliterated. It was smashed. And it was selling, he said it was selling mason jars. It was throwing mason jars. He called it selling. I know you've heard the phrase selling before. Folks, it's when old timers called when you sell a book across the room. You threw it really hard. He said this thing was selling mason jars across the holler over onto the other rig. It was throwing them so hard. Yeah, couldn't figure out how to open them. Was breaking them on the ground and drinking it before it poured out on the ground. Yeah, I mean, how do you make something like that up? You can't.
Yeah,
it's impossible to make something. Yeah, no.
On the other hand, you could see one doing that too, though.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've had moonshine. I know you've had moonshine also. I guess can you imagine how much you had to drink though?
Well, yeah, for a critter that size would. Yeah, but then again, probably not much tolerance to it either. So.
Well, you figure Andre the Giant. They said that in order for him to get a buzz, he had to drink at least 2 cases of beer.
Yeah.
I drank a half a case, and I can't see straight. So, I'm not a drinker though. But then, I've got several stories in the book. Moving on into the now section, coon hunters stories. I've got a whole section dedicated to coon hunters, because a lot of coon hunters, they're out at night, and they're going to actually see these things before most of us will. They're out at night. They're dogs. I have a friend.
And again, that's not a surprising thing. These are the guys that are out there in the woods. They're out there at night when the Bigfoots are running around. They'd be the ones that you would expect to see them if it was a real critter. And guess what? They're the ones that are seeing them.
Exactly. And it's like I've got that section in the book about this, and the whole first part of now is kind of dedicated to the coon hunters and stuff. Several stories about them, but I have a good friend of mine that he came to me. One of these guys that you would never think would come to you and tell you something like this. Somebody real prideful that has a reputation. And he came to me. He called me one day today. Would you care to meet me somewhere and talk? And I said, I don't care, one bit. And we went and talked. And he said, so you're doing the Bigfoot thing now, right? And I said, yeah. Do you know anybody that's had a sighting? And he looked down at the ground. And he looked back up at me. He said, I have. I said, excuse me? He said, I had a sighting. I've seen one of these things. And he was real reserved about it. And in his own words, as first person, he said, I was out. He said, I was out one night with my dogs. And one of my dogs, he was an older dog. And wasn't much in this world to scare him besides a train. And he said the sound of a train horn always scared this dog tremendously. He said there wasn't a coon in this country that he was scared of or would take him down. One night I let him run, and him and the other dog was running together. They went up on this holler on a ridge. And they started cutting shine. Cutting the shine, folks, is whenever a coon dog starts bellowing out a low, oh, oh. That means they're on something. They're on a coon. And he said all of a sudden they sound like something grabbed one of them. And
here
they come running. They were running so hard and so fast, their tongues were completely out of their mouths, scared to death. And behind them, he said, I looked behind them and I could see something that was, he said, I guarantee it was 9 to 10 foot tall. He said, probably good 500-600 pounds. Solid rock, solid muscle, real dark color to it. And he said it was keeping stride with him. And he said it sounded just like, it sounded just like a train. It was so loud, like you were standing right next to a train horn and your ears kind of muffle whenever they let that off. He said that's how loud this thing was. The dog was outrun him, and he took off behind the dog. This thing chased him all the way down the mountain. He never did go back up into that mountain. He never did go back up on that ridge. He still coon hunts to this day that I know of. But he said that is his ridge. That is that creature's ridge. He don't want to ever go back up in that area. And
I know that feeling.
I do too. I know that feeling all too well. When we went back to the original sighting place this weekend, I didn't feel like I belonged there. That was somebody else's territory.
Yeah.
But the whole book, I mean, I ain't gonna give away too much of the book, but I do have a special section that is directly in the middle of the book, and it is dedicated to the Native Americans of the Cherokee Nation. And even part of my book is dedicated to the Cherokee Nation and their tremendous help in writing this book. I sat down not 3 weeks ago and finished the section with these fine folk of the Cherokee Nation, Cherokee, North Carolina. I got to talk to several elders and historians of their area, and they let me in on a lot that they haven't really let a whole lot of people in on. These things shared hunting lands with their ancestors and still do to this day. That there's a whole big section of the book dedicated to them folks, and you know, I'd be lying if I said that I didn't put a special thank you to Mr. Brian Sullivan of the Montana Bigfoot Project in the thank you section, because you are one of my truest friends, Brian.
Well, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that. That's mighty nice of you.
That's no problem, man. You treated me you made me feel like home, like I came home when I came out to Montana. And I cannot wait to get you out here in Kentucky and show you how we do it out here in the Bluegrass State.
Right on, brother. I'm looking forward to that.
I am too. And you know, folks, it's I always tell people, and Brian was first row out at Montana Big Sky Bigfoot Conference. You know, I always do a presentation about getting into Bigfooting and what you should and shouldn't do, and the do's and don'ts and this and that and how-tos. You know, and the biggest thing, and I think you probably remember this, what did I say at the end of it? I said the number one rule of Bigfooting is to have fun.
Yep.
And it's been a fun ride for me. The ride's far from over. We've got a long time left on this ride, and we're recruiting Bigfooters. I do want to touch a little bit real quick, Brian, if you don't care. The Kentucky Sasquatch Team big expedition is taking place in the heart of the Cherokee Nation, Cherokee, North Carolina, in the Smoky Mountains of East Tennessee this year. Now, yeah, don't think that the Kentucky Sasquatch Team is converting over to Tennessee Sasquatches, but the Appalachian Mountain Range, that's a prominent area for us in the Smokies.
Mm-hmm.
And
makes
and
sense.
also,
Smokies are beautiful.
Oh, the Smokies are they're enormous, man. They're beautiful. we were there 3 weeks ago, and wouldn't you know, if there wasn't snow on it, there was a snowstorm up on the mountain, and there was 6 inches of snow on the mountain up there, and it 80 degrees down in the valley. It was lovely.
Yeah.
And the park ranger, we got to talk to the park ranger down there that had a Bigfoot sighting, or an encounter. I'm sorry, not a sighting, but an encounter.
Yeah, but you got video, and you don't often get a park ranger to actually stand there and let you, talk to them on camera about a potential encounter that they had. So, hey, thumbs up, man. That was pretty cool.
Hey, yeah, she volunteered to get on camera with me and interview with me, and she actually had heard one growled at her, and her and 3 other park rangers, and she said they would like to talk to me also. And I didn't get a chance to talk to them cats, but next time I'm down that way, I'm definitely going to talk to them.
Yeah, no kidding.
And but yeah, and I'm hoping she actually gets on board and goes on the expedition with us. But that will be starting the first weekend of October, and ending at on the second weekend of October. It'll be a full 6 days in the wilderness of the Smokies, away from prominent hiking trails and such, and in areas where I have had numerous reports of sightings, visual, audio, and I don't want to throw it out there, but maybe a little bit of supernatural encounters. You know how I am with the supernatural stuff.
Well, there's some weird, spooky stuff that goes on down in those mountains, and the locals know that. So I wouldn't write it off immediately. Well,
the Cherokee Nation, they're actually a couple of the guys that I talked to are actually going to go with us and kind of be our, if you will, field guides,
nice.
Guides, and
very handy.
And then there's going to be the Kentucky Sasquatch Team. Also, we have invited 2 other teams. And if Brian Sullivan from the Montana Bigfoot Project can make it out, we would absolutely love to have Montucky himself come out here.
Montucky number 2.
Number 2, baby. And then I have a couple of celebrity guests that I'm not at liberty to say right now who they are. None of them of which would be on any kind of Animal Planet show. Yeah, I can say that. None of them. Neither one of the celebrity guests is featured on any kind of Animal Planet show. But they are celebrities in the Bigfooting world. And I am super, super excited to get them down there in the Smokies and get them away from flat lands and deserts and stuff like this. Get them to where the real the scary Bigfoot encounters happen, not the ones that you got Chewbacca the Wookiee out there wandering around trying to fish.
Not them little friendly ones that just want to yell at you and throw some little rocks and trees at you. The actual scary one.
Oh yeah, the ones that you really don't know whether you're going to make it out of here alive or not.
Yeah, those are the scary ones.
Those are the scary ones. And the ones where you know for a fact that you smell like what they might want for breakfast or dinner. A little Happy Meal, if you will.
Yeah, you don't want to end up somebody's Happy Meal. That's always a no-go.
No, you don't. Toy don't come with this Happy Meal either. I think somebody asked me a while back. They said, "What would you do if a Bigfoot, if you found one and it chased you down and grabbed you and looked like it was getting ready to eat you?" And I try to talk my way out of it for one, but I'm not very appetizing, and I'll probably give you Montezuma's Revenge, projectile explosive diarrhea in the morning, and I will not be real easy on the palate. I'm kicking when I'm going down, and I'm kicking when I'm coming out.
Yeah, people, I get that brought up to me a bunch of times too. Well, what would you do if you were in a situation like that and a Bigfoot decided to attack you or anything? Well, sort of having a flamethrower with you, what the hell are you going to do? Let's be realistic about this. Most of the guns you can easily tote around with you ain't going to really stop one in time for it to make any difference. So you sort of have to trust that you know enough about what it is that you're doing that you're not hopefully going to be attacked by one while you're doing it.
Well, here's the thing. Somebody, we all have friends that say, well, I don't know why none of you all haven't shot and killed one yet. Well, I have a friend that claims that he did. And I won't mention no names. You know who I'm talking about. And he's one of the truest friends that I ever have had in my life. And they can call him what they want to call him, but I will always call him my brother, and I will always call him my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And if he says that he shot and killed a Bigfoot, then by hell, then I believe he shot and killed a Bigfoot. And but like I said, he's one of the truest friends and one of the best people I've ever met in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But in the same sense, you got to figure, you take a gun out, Brian, I'm always packing when I'm in the woods. You don't know what's going. A Bigfoot could come after you. You're going. I want an equalizer with me. I want to have some kind of something to give me a fighting chance, because I'm not going to fight him off with a stick. But when you're looking down the gun barrel of a rifle, and you've got one of these things in the sights, the worst case scenario, and somebody says, I'm out here hunting Bigfoot, hunting it, wanting to kill one. The worst case scenario that happens is you pull the trigger and you walk down there to the dead body that's laying there, and you Scooby-Doo it, and you pull a mask off, and it's a person in a monkey suit or in a Bigfoot suit.
Yep.
You just committed an act of murder.
Yep.
You done it. You're and even though you can say it was a hunting accident, you still shot somebody dressed as Bigfoot. And that's why I segue into the Patterson-Gimlin film. There's several people out there that says that Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson hoaxed that. That was a man in a monkey suit. In that particular area, dressing up like a creature like that would be the worst decision, even if it was just Bob, Roger, and the man in the monkey suit.
Yeah.
Because there's somebody out there hiking or hunting one that's got a gun that's going to see something like that, it's going to shoot them.
Yep.
Nobody is that stupid.
No.
To dress
and that's,
up like
another
that.
thing I bring up about Montana here, where people talk about, well, you're sure that, wasn't a hoax or something. My God, nobody in their right mind is going to walk into the woods in Montana with a monkey suit on. They're not going to walk into the woods with a furry coat on. They know they'll be shot. People here aren't going to take chances. There's cougars, there's grizzly bears, there's wolves. They don't screw around. They see something near camp and not sure what it is, they shoot it.
Yeah. I mean, we pack in Kentucky. Kentucky's an open carry state. But you know what? I've never met people like the fine folk of Montana. I mean, everybody's packing out there. And
we have to. It's dangerous.
Everybody is, man. Yeah, it's dangerous. I mean, I had a female deer, a doe, growl at me one morning while standing out there smoking and drinking my coffee.
Yeah, even the deer got an attitude. They won't get out of your way.
Oh, they got an attitude. They're carnivores out there, man. They're opportunists. I'm telling you, I firmly believe that too. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Dad, did you hear the deer growl at me? He goes, you're crazy. That deer's like, "Rrr," and I was like, we need to leave. This thing's going to attack us. Good Lord. It's got a taste of human blood. It's got a taste of human blood, man. But
yeah, we got some really dangerous big deer up here that think that if they're fearsome enough that they'll become elk or something. I'm not sure what they're up to, but they're not very afraid of people. Yeah.
Oh, they're auditioning for Santa's sleigh. I didn't doubt in my mind. That's and you know what? I gotta give you and everybody out there in Montana kudos, man, and some respect and folks, whoever's listening to this show tonight, if you get a chance, go visit Montana. If not for Bigfoot, do it for the view. Do it for the sights. Oh my God, it is the most beautiful country I've ever been in my life is in Montana. And I love my home state of Kentucky, folks, but Montana, wow. It is proof that God exists.
And you don't really get used to it for a long time either. I've been here 6 years now, and it still blows me away a lot. It's just everywhere you turn, it looks like a picture postcard, and for those of you that haven't seen Kentucky, Kentucky is no crap state either. Kentucky is gorgeous. There's a lot of beautiful country in Kentucky. So don't let Mike sell that state short. You guys are over there on the east side of the country and you want to see some beautiful country over there. Kentucky has got some.
Oh yeah, we've got the Red River Gorge is oh man, it's beautiful. And in Corbin, Kentucky, we have the only place in the Western Hemisphere you can see a moonbow. And folks, if you don't know what a moonbow is, it is a rainbow at night that is projected with the light of the moon. And the only other place you can see that is Victoria Falls, or Queen Victoria Falls in Africa. That's the only other waterfall you can see that at. So come to Corbin, Kentucky.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and you can actually look it up. Google Moonbow, Kentucky, and it is amazing. But yeah, folks, like I said,
never seen that. I've seen a moon dog up in northern Minnesota. That's something you don't see very often either. But I've never seen an actual moon bow. That's a different thing.
Right.
You ever seen moon dog?
Yep. No, I have not.
Moon dog is there's vapor in the atmosphere, and there's a secondary glow around the moon. It looks like there's a ring around it.
Okay. Yeah. I've seen that one time.
Yeah, it's not very often. It's really uncommon.
What is the legend on that? If there ever how many stars are inside the ring? That's how many months of really bad weather we're going to have, is what they always said in Kentucky.
Oh, no kidding. I never heard anything like that. That's kind of cool.
And it happens, if I'm not mistaken, don't it happen a lot like in late summer, early fall?
Mm-hmm.
The moon dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And that will tell you how many months of bad weather are ahead. There's so many old wives' tales out there, if you flip a piece of toast up in the air and it lands on butter side up, and it means blah, 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 blah. I flipped it up, and it landed right on the crust, and I was freaked out and left and sold my house. The poltergeist. But before we end this, Brian, I do want to plug a couple of things. If you don't care, and I think you don't care about this one particular plug I'm getting ready to plug, because he's a really good friend of ours, both of ours. Our partner in crime, Mr. Sit Down with Ed Brown himself.
Ed Brown.
Ed Brown and his show, Sit Down with Ed Brown, on YouTube, and Bigfoot Encounters. That's through Big Truth
Both excellent shows, and I really like Ed myself, folks, and Ed is a unilateral Bigfoot interviewer. He doesn't care what your opinion on Bigfoot is, if you're a researcher or whatever. If anybody that's got name recognition in the Bigfoot community at some point or another, he's going to sit down with you and do an interview. So if you guys want to catch up on some of the people that you've heard about in the Bigfoot community that maybe you'd like to get to know a little bit more about, that's an excellent way to do it. And Ed's a really good guy, and he does really good interviews. He did an excellent one with Bob Gimlin.
Excellent. That's probably the best Bob Gimlin interview I've ever witnessed in my life until Brian Sullivan gets Bob Gimlin on.
Oh God!
World
Oh
Jesus!
Radio. No, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. I wouldn't know what to say to Bob.
I wouldn't either. I'm going to meet the legend in 2 weeks. That's another plug I want to plug out there. Folks, go out, look up the Ohio Bigfoot Conference. That's taking place up there in Salt Fork State Park. Now, I don't have any involvement in that, but my team and I are going to be up there milling around and mixing and mingling and talking to several people. And we're actually going to do a little Squatch outing that weekend also out in the park. And
awesome.
We'll be out there. So that's May the 14th weekend at the Salt Fork State Park in Ohio.
So now wait a minute. Let's see if I got this straight. Now you're going to go out and do some squatching while you're there. Does that mean that people that are at the conference can maybe go, "Hey, Mike, take us with. We want to do some squatching out there too."
Well, absolutely, Brian, and that's really really good that you said that, because you can contact me directly on the Kentucky Sasquatch Team's Facebook. Send us a message. It will get to me, and I will read it. If you would like to partake in a little squatching outing, if anything, go out and learn a little bit about squatching with us. And the more the merrier. We will meet up and update everybody as the weekend progresses. And it'll take place on that Sunday, the 15th of May. So anybody that wants to join in with us is more than welcome.
So coming up shortly, folks, put it on your calendar. If you're out on the East Coast, here's the thing to go do.
It is actually the biggest, the most popular and biggest conference to date, right? 5,000 strong last year.
Yeah, it's the biggest one that I've heard of, that's for sure.
I know there's other conferences we're not knocking, other conferences, folks. We just know that Mark and his team have really worked diligently and really hard to put this thing together and built it up over the years. And congratulations, Mark DeWorth, for all the hard work. And if you don't believe hard work pays off, Mark DeWorth is living proof that hard work does pay off.
Right on. And it's again one of those, Rome wasn't built in a day. It took them more than, a little while to get this whole thing up to the point where it's at right now.
I don't know the exact, I'm afraid to say an exact year, but it's been several years.
Yeah.
And also, I have an interview show that we've already recorded several episodes for, and we're getting ready to launch it, and it's called Strange Nation with yours truly, Michael Cook, and that's I branched out away from, I still do the Bigfoot interviews, but I go out and I've got alien encountered interviews, Loch Ness Monster. I've got a couple of crazy dudes from out Scotland, love those guys, that's had Loch Ness Monster sightings. Champ sightings, Jersey Devil sightings, Chupacabra, Bigfoot, Wendigo, you name it, any kind of cryptid out there. I've got 11 episodes already recorded, getting ready to be launched. I'm waiting on one more interview to start. Well, actually, I'm waiting on 2 interviews. And right Brian, I will talk to you about another interview in a couple of days on that one. But
well,
I couldn't launch something
if you have any
with
guests that are coming on there and you need somebody else on the panel that knows something about Wendigos, you can always call me about that.
Exactly, and folks, I'm going to tell you, any of my fans out there and from the Kentucky Sasquatch Team, any of our fans, my fans personally, whatever, if you have anything that you believe is a Wendigo sighting, if you don't know what Wendigo is, look it up. Look up the Montana Bigfoot Project. They touch and give a lot of information about the Wendigos. And our buddy here, Brian, is a resident expert on, and I know I use expert very loosely. I use that
don't
word
use the E
very
word.
loosely. Yeah, we
That's
use
the
that
E
word
word.
very
Don't use
loosely
the E word.
in this business. But Brian knows what he's talking about. He knows his stuff when he's talking about the Wendigos. So you want to know something about them? You think you've had a sighting with one, an encounter with one? Believe me, if you have, you will know it. It's not your run-of-the-mill Bigfoot.
Nope.
And,
Mike's right about that. Some real quick ways to spot it. If they got claws and they got some big old chomping teeth on them that don't look like they belong on an animal that eats a lot of plants, good signs.
Good sign that that's probably a Wendigo.
Yep,
And,
probably.
But yeah, that's the plugs I want to give. And you know, any encounters in the state of Kentucky, you all remember. And I know this is strange, but I am a non-biased researcher. You've got several teams out there in the state of Kentucky that deal in Bigfoot sightings. If you don't get a hold of me, get a hold of one of them. Yeah, we need them. There's a lot of sightings goes on. The Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization, and that's run by Charlie Raymond. That's the Kentucky Bigfoot Research Organization, the Southern Bigfooters of Kentucky, Northern Bigfoot Research Group, the Appalachian Mountains Bigfoot Group, and they're the teams all over the place. But, you know, no matter what, go on the Kentucky Sasquatch Team page, and, you know, that little thumbs up symbol right there on your screen, click it for me if you don't care. I want to keep my likes and stuff above the Montana Bigfoot Project, you know.
Well, good luck with that aspiration, man.
It's not a contest, but if it was, I would already won, but whatever.
Well, tell you what, Mike, it's really been great having you with us. I'm glad you could stop by and spend some time, tell us a few of the encounters that you had collected for your book. And I'm super psyched to start seeing some episodes of Strange Nation there. You've been telling me about that for a little while now, and really looking forward to having that going too. And I'm sure everybody else is out there too. It's more additional good stuff for us all have available for us to take a look at and listen to, and, you know, form educated opinions from.
Brian and Grant, thank you two so much for inviting me on, and I cannot wait to get Brian on Strange Nation very soon, and all that, and, you know, I can't wait to do this again maybe next year. Let's do another episode next year, folks.
Heck yeah, we need an update every so often. Sure, everybody out there would enjoy it.
All right then, and I'll keep the best reports and save them for you all and release them to you all only.
All right. Well, thanks again so very much for being on the show, Mike, and I hope everybody out there enjoyed the show, and stay with us. Again, if you have any encounters or questions, comments, concerns, complaints, we take them too. You can reach us at worldbigfootradio@gmail.com. And for any people over there that are on Mike's side of the country, if you think that you've seen something that might be a Wendigo or something that's too tall to be a Bigfoot, I do know about those other things, and I take those reports. So you feel free to get a hold of me. I'd be more than happy to hear about them and talk to you about them, give you some more information on it.
Actually, Brian, real quick, folks, you heard that about the mountain giants and the Wendigo. If you send an email to the Kentucky Sasquatch Team. Brian is an administrator on that site.
That's right.
And he will get that email.
I'll find out there too.
Feel free. All right.
All right.
God
Thanks
bless
a lot, Mike.
you. God bless everybody listening. Thanks a lot.
All right, folks. Thanks a lot. We're out.